Studio, Jennifer Waters, Moy Valley Edge, John Swan, Community Foundation, and County Executive Anthony Picenti. I'll start with you, John. My question was, have we missed the boat on Harbor Point?
Was there a pun intended?
Maybe. It's a perfect way to say it, I think. So, hotels popping up. It's to the point now where you're not going to be able to see the water from Genesee Street. What are your thoughts, and what's the vision there?
Well, it's an interesting question. This particular plan that we're talking about addresses vision for individual components of downtown, including Harbor Point. Mm-hmm. The development questions that you're talking about are things that have happened to date.
Yeah.
And I guess I can't speak on behalf of the mayor. Harbor Point is really the city's development in partnership with others. But I would take issue with the notion that Harbor Point is not a success if you can't see the water when you're driving by on Genesee Street, because I think Harbor Point is meant to be a destination.
Yeah.
Also, I think still, although people are tired of hearing this, it's early days. Harbor Point is a very long-term development. It's taken decades to get to this point.
Well, the toxins alone are a real problem.
Huge obstacles. But if you take a parallel example and think of, say, Bag Square. Think of what happened to Frank Elias when he opened Utica Coffee. People said, you can't get there from anywhere.
Right.
It's in a block of ill repute.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? And now look at
why
Bag
would you want to be there?
Right? And look at the other little bright spots in Bag Square that were early innovators. And look at what has happened since. So Harbor Point, I think, is a work in progress. It's part of the long-term vision for downtown, and I wouldn't take issue with the early steps that have been taken.
All right, fair enough. You want to comment on that at all, Anthony Picenti? Do I still have him? Can you check on his line? So what is the vision of Harbor Point as a part of the downtown? And I'll go with you on this, John, and Jennifer, if you want to pipe in on it.
Sure. So the mayor is always really excited about when he talks about Harbor Point. He really wants it to be a destination. They just came out with the RFP a little while ago for development down there. But he sees festivals and a place for people to gather.
Baseball, maybe.
Green space, recreation fields, a place for people to recreate. And I think that the vision plan comes into play when you talk about how are you going to get there from the Odd or the Nexus Center, the other key piece of our recreational assets in the city. How do you connect those two neighborhoods, for lack of a better word, into one cohesive unit?
Yeah, okay.
And is there parking down there for those things? If you're going to have baseball
but they're talking
games
about
with families.
There is talk about taking that area and from that point and then over to the area by the Odd and actually developing all of that in there. So it would. So you think about the only way you can get to Harbor Point would be North Genesee Street, not necessarily in the future. Am I correct with that?
Right.
Okay. County Executive Anthony Picenti is on as well. I want to ask you, Anthony, about it seems like this is a huge project of transformation downtown. And you cannot ignore the fact that the hospital plays an enormous role in all of this. And if you recall when those emails were foiled and they came out and they thought they had this email gate thing, everybody came out and said they wanted the hospital to go downtown from the very beginning. They were pushing for the hospital to go downtown. A, I want to ask you, is that true? B, I think it is. And C, is there anything wrong with that, ultimately transforming downtown?
No, I don't think it is at all. And look, I've said it from the beginning. I've always believed it and wanted to see it downtown. I do believe it's the best place for it, and I do believe for the reasons and all the things that we're talking about today is why. I think that downtowns have to be more than just. They're not retail hubs anymore. They can't survive as that. They can't only survive as apartments if you don't have other amenities and other pieces to it. And when you have an anchor such as a healthcare facility of that size in the government district, with other pieces surrounding it, the auditorium, Nexus, Harbor, the Stanley, all downtown is not just one block. It's a series of areas, from Bag Square on the east to Varick Street on the west, and up Genesee Street to the south. So it is about an anchor, if you will, or a focal point, and the overall, but it's much more than that. So the argument about letting downtown grow on its own without something else is, I've never bought into that because I don't think it can survive solely on its own without pieces like a hospital that has been shown in communities across the country to change the landscape and to change, especially of downtowns that are different than 30 and 40 years ago. And in a city, they're not, in cities like Utica and cities across upstate, and even in the Rust Belt and others, are not going to be, they're not going to be Bostons or New Yorks or anything like that without the pieces that we're looking at. But back to the other point, I think Jen hit on it too. It's connectivity. So when you look at the harbor and you look at the Aud, I mean our goal is getting people from point A to point B much more seamlessly throughout this community, so that you're not driving from one area to the other. And the walk is safe. It's lit. It has other pieces as you go along, and that's really what the focus has to be.
I want to pick up on that in a second, but I know John wants to pick up on what you just said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll let you
go
go
first.
Yeah,
it's your show.
You
I mean, hey.
Well, I was just going to bring up he mentioned safety.
Yes.
And when I was in the hospital, chose to do it here, not for any loyalty reason whatsoever. I chose because of the robotics and because of the doctor, surgeon. I felt that I was in as good a shape here as I would have been in Boston, and I believe I really was. But I made it I was on a lot of meds. So I just interviewed everybody. Anybody that walked through that door could have been a patient. I have no clue. But I interviewed everybody about the hospital. What do you think about it going downtown? And the one thing I heard most was from females who were nervous about the safety and their safety downtown. And I'm confused by that a bit because I see downtown as I don't ever worry about walking downtown at all.
I walk from my office to Utica.
Talk about that a little bit, if you could. And then I know you want to pick up on
the
what
mayor
Tony
said something interesting yesterday. He said statistically, downtown is the safest neighborhood in the city in terms of emergency calls, and has been for a long time. He says now, of course, those statistics will change as more people live downtown, as there's more activity downtown. But downtown, arguably, is the best lit, most frequently patrolled and secure neighborhood in all of the cities. But people are going to continue. Those attitudes will change as people's experiences change, right? Because people's attitudes, especially fearful ones, are built on what? Their prior experience and the way things used to be. And now the more people go downtown and experience it, the more they're going to know that it's a safe place to be. Yeah. Now, what I was going to pick up on with the county executive, what he said is that what we're talking about today is not new to Utica, and it doesn't repeat planning that's been happening in the past locally. It not only is it not new nationwide, it's commonplace, again, to cities that have recovered and have growth environments. It's a tool that they all have. Why shouldn't we have it as well? Very necessary.
Fair enough. You want to comment on that, Tony, at all?
Well, no, I appreciate that. I mean, in the sense of it is, and it's all of these pieces that we've got going on. And I think it's interesting to note that these are all different from different aspects, and that's why it's the perfect opportunity to connect the dots, if you will, and really, put the pieces in place, and then add throughout the process other things that I've been saying all along. So, what is in a hospital, or what is around a hospital? Excuse me. In these communities that have established them in downtown, what else is there? What else are people looking for? I mean, those are the things that we can look at throughout this process of adding the things, the amenities. I think you were in that hospital there. If you ask them, that safety aspect. But what else is there? What else are they looking for? What other pieces go along with it? But then, when people come into town and people move around, you want them to walk and be able to walk from the Aud to the Stanley, from the Aud and from that hospital, or from Genesee Street to Bag Square to the public market. I mean, look at our investment down there. Yeah, that's going to be a big piece of downtown going forward, because it still is downtown. Yeah, and now we have to connect people from there. As you mentioned, Utica Coffee and that entire block there. That's all relevant to this overall plan. And so it's not something. And John is right. It's not unique. It's been a blueprint for, if you will, for the resurgence of cities, of small cities.
Mm-hmm. John, you want
In the interest of time, I just wanted to mention quickly that there are next steps, that there is more engagement, that the consultant has not yet finished the work, and that already we have engaged with, through this process, more than 60 stakeholders in downtown, especially business owners and property owners along the Genesee Street corridor. So this is not a top-down, imposed on the city from outside vision. This is a vision that's being created with the stakeholders and the people who live and work and recreate in the downtown.
Mm-hmm. And I want to bring you in on this, Jennifer. I have somebody saying, anytime you allow government to get in and get involved in these sorts of things, our governments always screw it up. So, Jennifer, at Mohawk Valley Edge, have you accomplished anything? And I'm throwing you a really slow pitch because I think that Griffiths has done is a great example. But what have you accomplished, for God's sakes?
Oh, man, what a question.
How much time do you have?
I know. Do you got a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Griffiths.
Mm-hmm.
So we are 1995. Gauntlet came down, closed. Now to 2019, 77 businesses.
Yeah.
Almost 6,000 employees, growing by the second. We have a huge high-tech ecosystem anchored by the Air Force Research Lab. We're currently building a $12 million building for NICETech, a cybersecurity IT consulting company at Griffiths. State-of-the-art, beautiful new building. There's new construction happening every single day. People come in to work at Griffiths who live from 26 different counties.
Wow.
It's an incredible story, but yeah, it's just a little thing
I know
we're
the
doing.
mayor of Rome, by the way, would like to change that and says you should be living in Rome.
Yeah,
That's
we're
the place
also
to live.
we're working on that as well.
And nearby communities as well. We had the mayor of Little Falls on earlier in the week on Monday, who said that they're adding a tech company. Salado or Redco is moving out. A tech company is coming in. They credited Griffiths for their reasoning to move into Little Falls. So,
Absolutely. We're running out of space. Griffiths is at 99, if not 100% occupancy.
Well, add to that, John?
We're one region. People think, and the Downtown Utica core project is important for the vision because as the downtown and as the city goes, so goes the region. But
Yep.
we have to remember that when we say community in our organization, Community Foundation, we're talking about Oneida and Herkimer counties as a single community. That's the way of the future.
Tony Pisani, I want to give you the final word here as we near the top of the hour.
Well, I think that the other key piece here to keep in mind is that it's not just, and John just said that as far as a regional approach, but it's not just about Utica, and it's not just about what happens there or tourists going to Utica. It's about our residents. You go to Syracuse and on the weekends and the things that happen in downtown, those are people from that county that are there. That's what this is about, too. And so that the other piece here that's essential is the connectivity, the branches out to the Whitestowns, the New Hartfords, the Camdens, the Boonvilles. I mean, throughout. How do we, what happens here has a ripple effect. I keep saying that over and over again. And we need to also stimulate pieces like that and like the growth factor of not just jobs, but also other pieces into those other communities. Yep. And home values go up and everything, starts coming into play.
Tony Pisani, Jennifer Waters, John Swan, guys, thanks so much. Appreciate it.